And hello everyone, welcome to the Red October Network. Hope everybody's doing well. Happy June 10th, actually. Hope you liked all the Pirates videos and everything. So anyways, there was a question that popped up in my head earlier today. What would be a good thing to talk about? Now, one of the things that popped into my head was this upcoming presidential election. As you know, Barack Obama is running against Mitt Romney, and I don't know who the third-party candidates are. But if you remember the 2008 election, there was a lot of discussion about Joe the Plumber. Now, if you don't know who Joe the Plumber is, kind of Google it. I was kind of surprised he was only making $40,000 a year as a plumber, because all the discussion on there is that if you learn a trade, you'll make six figures by the time you're 30. Guess it's not true. But I tried to think about who would be a good Joe the Plumber for this election. Now, I came up with the idea that it was Steve, the college graduate, or Steve, the meteorologist, or the earth scientist. Now, you know, aside from being very narcissistic about it, you have to think about it, and there's a lot of correlation between that and the Joe the Plumber. So, you remember Joe the Plumber? He was talking about buying a firm with the tax breaks, and he was worried, am I going to lose money under Barack Obama? Am I going to gain money? And Obama basically danced around it, and McCain used it as a boost. So why did I say Steve, the college graduate? Well, I think there's a lot of things that factor in. I think the first thing is with it is that college graduates make up a large portion, more than it has ever been in this economy, or in this country. A lot of them have chosen majors which are not necessarily job ready. They don't give you skills or talents like vocational school. But everybody's been kind of indoctrinated into that. So Joe the Plumber had his whole tax thing. I maintain, though, that the biggest thing that we could draw out is all the college debt. And which candidate, whether it be Romney or Obama, is going to make sure that somehow this debt's paid off? Because if you don't know already, this is the only debt that can't be discharged through bankruptcy. There's $1 trillion in it. Yes, $1 trillion. And I think this is a big topic. And so I'm wondering about these candidates. Now, you know, I think Romney wanted to go raise taxes, or let the Bush tax cuts expire. And he wanted to double the rates on the student loans. Now, nothing from nothing equals nothing, and nobody's really making a lot of progress with these student loans. So my question is this: I went to a good school. I never partied, never drank, never smoked weed, never went out, let anything get in the way of my schoolwork. And it took me a little while. But you have to think about it. I'm $160,000 in debt. I'm not lying to you. I always laugh whenever they say, oh, student loans, the average student loan is like $40,000. I'm like, where are you going to school? Like Mickey Mouse Community College or something? It's scary. And now I'm going to be going to grad school, hopefully, with Duquesne. And so that's a real question. I'm really at a loss for it, because I went and got my science degree from a known school, and yet I still can't find a job. And those who are finding jobs are making not $50,000 or $60,000, or even close to the $1 million that we're all promised in those nice Department of Labor statistics. But that raises a question, you know, what are the candidates going to do? Now, I gotta give you a thing, because this is another about narcissism. Why should we care about that? You guys went to school, you took on the debt, you signed the dotted line, you pay it off. Well, it's not that easy. I think that the largest voting bloc that is going to decide this election is going to be the young people. A lot of them did support Obama, and Obama won overwhelmingly well in 2008. And I can tell you from being at Penn State that when the old main lawn, the main building lawn, gets sold to Obama and the gymnasium gets sold to Sarah Palin, you can kind of tell that there's a little bit of difference with that. And that's the tough part. I do think, however, though, that the voting bloc is going to lean more towards voting for Romney. Now, I don't know who I'm going to vote for, but if I'm a candidate and I would address the candidates, what are you going to do about all the young people? What are you going to do about the fact that we have no savings, that we're paying off this debt, that we aren't going to be able to get a mortgage or buy that $50,000 Ford Taurus, which we all love. By the way, if you can buy me that Taurus show, that would be very wonderful. But you know, this is the generation that's not going to have Social Security, you know, not going to have pensions, not going to have, or is going to have to take on all this debt that the current administration has put in. And so, about that, what are you going to do? Also, about what are you going to do about the number of students who, even if they are making $50,000 a year by the time this election comes around, you know, how are we going to get rid of that college debt? For every person that's making $50,000, there's probably 5 or 6 of us who work in retail like myself. And so that's a real question. And I wish it could be brought up, because I often think in our society that we're often adjusted to a paradigm that young people don't really matter in this economy. They're very disposable. That we should give all the jobs to the older people, the experienced people, people who don't party, people who have kids, people who do this, people who do that. It's like, you ever look at a job application, they want master's degree, 4 years of experience, and they only want to hire you for $10 an hour. Amy Winehouse, no. But that's my question. What are you going to do about that? Are you going to do something like the WPA when Franklin Delano Roosevelt went in, where you put young people to work? Who's going to pay this debt? Who's going to pay the college debt? Because I think if we put another $1 trillion into this economy, we probably lowered the unemployed rate by about 2% maybe. And that is a real problem, because nobody wants to take those starter level jobs because they simply have too much debt. And that's a real question. I also think too that with it is that a lot of young people are naive. And I can tell you this because if you saw the overwhelming number of people who voted for Obama, it was a high number of young people. And I always remember a quote from a guy who was on a Yahoo board. And he was talking about the 50% unemployment rate among young people, recent college graduates. And he said to me, he said, "Why should I have to pay for your mistake? You voted for him, that's your hopey changey. You should have to eat it. Oh yeah, by the way, enjoy serving me my hamburger while I'm at lunch." And that's the kind of attitude that we have in America, that young people are not worth it. I maintain, though, that college degrees are worth it, but that's a topic for another video. You can see those. I've written that before, and I don't need to discuss it again, at least for now. But for all the young people in this world, for all the young people, if you think about it, you know, how are we going to be able to maintain ourselves? A lot of us Generation Y are going to be in our mid-20s, early 30s, even 40 years old when we get out of this, when 2016 rolls around, and we're going to have probably 2 new candidates maybe, or Romney and somebody else. And that's a real difficult question, because so many young people can't contribute. You know, they've been in the college loan debt, they have less money, a lot of them are marrying later, a lot of them are having kids later. You know, the H-1B visas, where we're offshoring jobs. And offshoring is basically a thing where we thought it was all cool and everything. Oh, we're gonna get out of the second or the third world, and we're gonna go to the top. Well, the problem is with it is that, as you know, all the outsourcing and offshoring that was in vogue, especially in last decade, the 2000s, became sort of the reason why we don't have any money, we don't have any jobs, we don't have any growth for young people. So what's the answer to that? That's one of my presidential questions, I guess you could say. And is there a way that you can mobilize young people who may not be rich? A lot of us aren't rich, but how do you mobilize a lot of young people who are going to go and basically, rule the generation? As you know, in Waiting on the World to Change in John Mayer, one day our generation is going to rule the population, so we're waiting on the world to change. You know what I mean? So I guess you could say that's our big question. Because obviously you have to motivate young people, and we shouldn't just be about the 75-year-old gun-bearing, conservative kind of texture. We need young people to vote. It's been a large problem here in this country, so what are you going to do for all these young people? And that's basically what I think Joe the Plumber should be, Steve the environmental scientist, or something like that. So, anyways, that's it for this video. Don't want to make it too long, so give me your comments on that, and watch the ads, and hope you like them. We'll be back soon. Probably going to be going over the beach late in July, so we'll have some more video from the beach, this time in 3D. So check that out, and leave your comments, and let's get some responses. Get 1 million views. How about that? Thanks.